We smear the podcast in fake vomit and are pursued by cows, and consider replacing our entire news section with classical music. So grab your plane and loop-to-loop your way over the city of...
Warning. The following podcast is another wasted hour. Warning. The following podcast is another wasted hour.
Don't waste my motherfucking time!
Look! Up in the air! It's a bird! It's a plane! Look at the island! Now there's the plane! Okay, that was really distasteful now that I think about it. I probably shouldn't have started with that. Anyhow, welcome to another hour of another wasted hour. As you all know, the next hour of your life is going to be replaced with two ignorant, uninformed, ill-advised, self-deprecating morons ranting about opinions they have no right to have, which are probably wrong and absolutely do not matter. Our goal here at Another Wasted Hour is to convince you that where we hail from, just outside Washington, D.C., is not just a city of politics and scandals, but one brimming with art, music, and culture, as impossible as that may seem. So, listeners, now that you know why you're here, who I can only assume is Alexander Graham's great-great-granddaughter, we have the Iris Bell in studio. Woo! Matthew. Oh, is that's the crowd? The crowd's going wild! Woo! Oh my God. Oh, it's a low-flying plane. Was that a low-flying plane? I thought, you had me scared there for a second. So welcome, Matthew.
Beautiful to be here.
Yes, and I've heard also we might refer to you as Slim. Is that
is correct?
That is good. You fit that moniker well better than I do.
There is the name that my dear mother gave me, and the name that I have been straddled upon by society.
By society.
Yes.
I didn't know I had a say in this. There was a vote.
It came before you, but I come by it honestly. Yes, absolutely.
Well, excellent. Well, would you prefer Slim or would you prefer Matthew?
No, go Slim. That's good. I mean,
Slim,
that's what most of my friends call me. Yeah.
All right. So welcome to the show. You're with a band called the Iris Bell.
Exactly.
What is an Iris Bell?
The Iris Bell is a collection of words that was put onto a spreadsheet with other words that were slowly whittled down by process of elimination.
So it's not an Irish person with a lisp.
It's not an Irish. Yeah. So this is something that we come upon.
Bell.
It's we end up with lots of requests from the random Irish pubs around town to say, can you come play? And we're like, we should probably clarify something before we do that.
Yeah.
It is Iris, as in the flower.
Right.
Bell.
Okay.
It sounded good to us.
So
by process of elimination.
I noticed you gave me your Facebook address, which is www.facebook.com, the Iris Bell.
Right.
And it took me a quick moment to realize that it wasn't theirs. There is Bell. Did you know that
is that what it looks like?
Yeah, THEIR. There.
There's actually quite a long history of these funny things that people don't realize about their websites, and now I'm terrified that we might be saying something offensive or vulgar or whatever.
There is Bell.
This is what happens when you don't have a marketing manager. We'll have to.
You need an HR team.
We will put the best on that next week and make sure that we're not inadvertently putting slurs out on the internet or anything like that. We wouldn't want to do that.
So if you ever want to like go incognito though, right? Like if you become huge, and then you want to do a small like side gig, sometimes like big bands will do stadium shows, but sometimes they'll show up like a day early and they'll like get a fake name and they'll go just play a club
just
without
to make sure.
announcing it.
Yeah.
Right. And then people are like, holy crap, that's the Rolling Stones. But they were called, like Thunder Eagle.
Theroling Stones.
Yeah, right.
We're still sorting this out.
Yeah.
It'd be a nice problem to have. We're not quite there yet, but
if you needed to, you could easily go as There Is Bell and not be lying, really.
I think we have some work to do. We're going to go back to the cutting board on this, but for the time being, it's the Iris Bell.
Oh, all right. Fair enough. Just if you decide to change it, just let me know because There Is Bell is available. I think
it could work. It could work.
All right. So
I should point out, by the way, there was a group in the 60s that we didn't know. There was a jazz musician called Iris Bell.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was a woman. I think she had a 3-piece, and we've actually been contacted by her grandson to say, "Are you a tribute band?" I was like, "No, we didn't know anything about you. I have no idea how long this is. But
are you going to do a cover?
I mean, I think all doors are open. We just, you know,
like you should.
Like I said, we didn't do our homework ahead of time. We thought we were just starting a band, and that was it.
It's not even homework. It's just going to Google and typing Iris Bell.
Like I said, I mean, look, we're an indie folk band. I mean, our game is mandolins and guitars and things. We don't.
Computers
are the things that we stay away from. So I'm starting to rethink the wisdom of our ways. So yeah.
Well, you're learning. That's what's important.
It's an evolution. Music is an evolution. You're right. You're exactly right.
You can learn from doing things wrong. You can learn from video games.
Agree.
Yeah, we found out that you can learn how to pilot a plane by just playing video games.
You can do that. I've heard some things in the news about that.
Yeah,
recently.
Did you know that, Adam?
That you could get your pilot's license through Microsoft Flight Simulator?
No, you can't get your license, but apparently you can get all the information you need to actually hijack a plane and do loop-de-loops over Seattle.
Hijack a plane. Okay.
Yes.
No, I hadn't heard about the story because I know like for a while there you could get like basically if you couldn't get enough hours to keep your pilot's license, if you did like twice as many on Microsoft Flight Simulator, it still counted.
Interesting. Oh, I had no idea about that. Yeah, but it was in Seattle, right? Seattle, Washington?
Actually just this past week.
Yeah, this last week, a gentleman who worked on the tarmac at the airport there. He was a baggage handler and helped with various other things. Apparently, I don't know if he was having a rough day or whatever, realized that plane over there wasn't really attended, and so he jumped in it and he flew away. And then he started.
As you do.
Yeah. And then he just flew. And the tower was like, hey, we've noticed you have a plane that wasn't supposed to be flying. What's going on? And he was like, I'm good. I play a lot of video games. I got this. They're like,
when I first heard this story, I didn't actually know that he died when he crashed. I thought the plane crashed and somehow he managed because he was by himself.
Oh, you thought that maybe he did the what was the guy from the 70s?
I thought he just he wanted whatever he wanted.
What was the guy that parachuted out of the plane with the money?
Yeah, and they never found him. And they never found him. Right.
You're thinking maybe he did that.
I thought it was something
Cooper.
Yes. DB Cooper. DB Cooper. Yep. So you thought he DB Cooper'd it where
maybe.
He was like,
I just thought, but when I heard it, I thought,
that would have been
this
amazing.
Is a guy that was bored. I mean, is what I thought.
Right.
And people say, why would a guy that would, had so much going for him jump in a plane and do that? And I thought, well, I might do that if I was bored enough.
Right.
Well, as someone who works at a school, but since he's staff and has to be there during the summer when there's nothing going on, I can tell you that I've been bored enough that I would have stolen a plane if given the opportunity.
The funny thing is that the news people always say like, oh, he was an accountant from a suburban community and he had 2 kids and he played golf every weekend and he had so much to live for. And I'm thinking like, gosh, I might jump in a plane and do that if that was my life.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
I might try to shake things up a bit.
Right. But you know what? So first of all, tragedy, obviously.
Of course.
Of course. It's a shame that he got to a point where he felt okay to do that and then ended up dying because of it. And who knows what mental illness went into that or any number of other things. I want to put a little bit of a positive spin on this, though, because I kind of want to hand it to this guy because if you're going to go out, there's only a handful of ways that you can go out and become a legend, right? And this is kind of one of them, right?
Are you guys familiar with the movie Wings of Desire, the Wim Wenders movie, sort of classic German movie?
No, not at all.
The whole thing is that these angels are in Germany and they're Berlin and they're watching humans.
Okay.
And they're watching their lives and they're trying to understand how do humans, react. And they're bored because they've been alive for millennia.
Oh, sure, right.
And they're just thinking these people should be doing something amazing. Dramatic.
Yeah.
And there's this scene in the movie where one of the angels is like, today on the train, a guy yelled Tierra del Fuego and just rammed the train, into the end.
Right.
And they were sort of like, yeah, that's better than anything we've seen in the last millennia, So there's just something to the idea of just making life a bit different than it could be.
Because even the big dramatic things now are all just mundane. Like jumping off the Golden Gate Bridge. Like 100 people do it every year.
Been
like,
done.
It's like,
Oh, can you imagine if you imagine?
It's just sad.
You imagine that you do that, thinking it's dramatic, and you
right?
die,
You're
and
like,
everyone's like,
watch
oh,
this,
boring,
and they're like, oh, fucking this guy.
Boring. Matt Slim died, and been done before.
But this reminds me of the dude. Do you remember? Like, I want to say it was probably over a decade ago in L.A. There was a guy who stole a tank from like
I remember this.
a National Reserve like parking lot or whatever,
right?
And just fucking went to town on LA. Like he was just rolling over cars and just going all over the place. As far as I know,
meth is one hell of a drug.
Yeah, as far as I know, he harmed no one other than like the fiscal damage of things. And then as he was like high centered, I think on a barrier, they came in and had to shoot him because he wouldn't give up, and so he went out that way. And I was like, look, that was wrong. It was kind of awesome, but it was way wrong. Okay.
Okay. I can.
Nobody should do that. But if you do, just do it on Instagram. Okay. Because that's like, no, seriously. So don't hijack planes.
We all agree hijacking's wrong.
Yes. Bless him for not harming anyone else. Like that's really, if you're going to go and do something, incredibly dangerous and incredibly stupid and go out in a blaze of glory, do it on your own. You caused some damage, and that's unfortunate for airlines and things like that. But at least nobody else was hurt. And man, what a story, though. I mean,
it was unbelievable.
I guess we're saying it very callously because, of course, people are hurt. His kids don't have a dad anymore, things like that. So overall, don't do this. It's not good. But man, that if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be. He did a loop-de-loop in the prop plane. It wasn't even a small prop plane.
You're right.
Yeah.
It was a pretty dramatic flare that he had.
It was like a 75 passenger plane. So it's not small, but it was a prop plane for like shorter trips. He did a loop-de-loop, he did a barrel roll in it. Like he lived it up while he could. And while he was talking to the tower, he was like, I'm really gonna get arrested for this, right? Like this is gonna go really bad.
How serious are we allowed to be on this show?
As serious as you want. What do you? Yeah. Let's fuck with people's minds right now.
I mean,
get ready to get sad, people.
It's everyone sort of. Well, I don't say everyone, but sick guys like the three of us. We sort of laugh about that and we think, oh, wow, that was incredible. But in fact, is like people say, I'm sort of trapped in this sort of boring cycle of life, and I need something that could break out of that. To some extent, it's a failure of imagination. Like you can't quite, think of anything better to do.
Right. You can't think of something safe that would actually get you out of the pattern.
Yeah, whatever that might be. Joining your local drama troupe and becoming a thespian at the age of 40. Like why not?
Yeah, no. Instead, steal a plane.
Because your cousin or your aunt might laugh at you and say, what do you think you're doing? And so you go out with these really, really grand gestures. But I think, to some extent, people feel locked in, and that's why they kind of go out on these kind of really mad, crazy things.
Well, and if we're going to be serious for a moment, if you're feeling that way, reach out. We'll put you on this podcast.
Call us.
Yeah, like the Iris Bell. You can join their team.
Call professionals, but call.
Right. No, call us. We're very good.
We'll patch you through.
Right. We're super supportive here on this show. Because you'll be like, I feel like hijacking a plane. We'll be like, you should totally hijack a plane.
Awesome.
Oh no, that's a bad idea.
We'll talk you down.
Yeah, don't do that. But
we'll get
can I be there?
Don't do it. Bad idea. When are you going to do it?
Yeah. But if you are feeling these things, seriously, reach out to somebody, talk to somebody. There are other ways. You don't need to take your life. You don't need to do something so dramatic. It is not worth going out for. And there are people who care about you that are going to miss you. So.
Probably more productive ways to spend your life, I would say.
So don't do that. Speaking of productive ways that you might be able to get rid of some of those feelings, on Wednesday, August 23rd, you could go out to Gypsy Sally's in Washington, D.C. You could watch the Iris Bell live in concert.
Yes, you can.
Right? And that's pretty cool. So,
it's good.
Yeah. And you're playing with, you said somebody else. Who is it?
We have a fantastic group called Bodie Otis.
Bodie Otis.
Which is one of my favorite band names ever.
That's fun to say.
And we played with them a number of times. And they're another indie acoustic folk, DC band that is creative. And you kind of never know where they're going to come out of in terms of their how they make themselves up, but it's a really good time. Absolutely.
All right, very cool. So, yeah, go check them out live if you want to hear a little bit about them. Fast forward to the 1 hour mark of this show, you can listen to their track Henrietta. We'll have a sample of that a little later. It's from their album that just came out in July called Ridgelines and Highways. You can also find out more about the show and the band and more music at facebook.com/thereisbell.
Man.
Not gonna let me put that one down, are you?
I'm gonna fire Anne from HR. She's gonna hear it from me.
All right. Well, speaking of firing people, we are now that she's fired from your band, and maybe the whole band is fired.
She's done. Done.
We're gonna hire you actually, as the editor-in-chief of a brand new publication in what we like to call the Weather Report. All right, I know this is a new role for you. That's okay. We're just testing the waters here. We're going to make you the CEO of this brand new publication. You're in charge of all the content. We, as your loyal reporters, have gone out into the internet. We have pulled in things that we think are very noteworthy, and you're going to let us know if they make it in or not.
Anywhere on the internet?
What? Yeah, no, I know how to use the internet.
Have there been parameters put on where you've gotten things out of? Because it's
not heard previous shows.
It can
apparently.
Be scary.
Yes,
scary place.
This is all very scary.
All right.
So let's start. This is a very serious story. I'm going to get started on this.
Okay.
Apparently, so let me paint a picture for you. After a night out on the town, a West Fargo man did the responsible thing and hired a Lyft to get him home. Good job.
Makes
right?
sense. No Uber.
Right, and then he hijacked the Lyft, and that's not the story. Unfortunately, the next day, the $9 fare turned into a $159 charge. It was labeled damages. So you see, if you take a rideshare home from the bar and like throw up in their car, for instance, because you were at a bar, right? The rideshare charges you a fee for the driver to get his car cleaned up, and rightfully so. I mean, that makes perfect sense, right? You shouldn't throw up in people's cars.
I'm shockingly familiar with this particular charge. I will say.
Okay.
I am aware of this.
Then you need to be aware of this. So the thing is, although the driver submitted photographic evidence of the damage, when he was confronted by his wife, the passenger swore he didn't do anything that could have caused damage to the car. Right?
Yeah.
So as a compliance analyst, as her day job, she decided to investigate the issue. This became a mission for her. So she used the submitted photos and was able to determine that the pictures were taken at a local gas station. She then asked the station for surveillance footage from that night. And they knew the time because of the trip that was taken, right? And they actually showed her the footage. And it showed, when she asked the surveillance footage that night, it showed the driver purchasing nachos, puffed popcorn, and Mott's applesauce, and then smearing it all over his car. The driver apparently, conveniently, had an unlimited car wash pass at the station, which he immediately used after taking the pictures. The thing is, this is not the only instance of this. Coined vomit fraud, it is a growing problem in many parts of the country. The Miami Herald reported that this summer that multiple Uber passengers are filing lawsuits after drivers falsely charged their passengers, claiming they had to clean up vomit and urine, blood, or other bodily fluids. The interesting thing is that when you agree to use one of these apps, you get caught into this weird thing where any of these frauds that happen to you, because of the terms of service, have to be handled civilly. So you can't actually charge the driver with fraud for trying to steal money from you, according to the terms of service.
I have so many stories piling up in my head about this.
Yeah?
Yeah, to be honest.
You're now thinking,
first of all, I'm shocked that vomit fraud wasn't a bigger issue in the election of 2016. Everyone was talking about the opioid crisis and immigration, but no one's talking about vomit fraud.
Well, it was happening at the polls.
Yeah.
I did what? Oh,
I have to say that I was with a very nice, lovely, beautiful girl.
Yeah.
Who was normally the pinnacle of civilization, but on this particular night, she was not in top form. And as we're pulling up to the front door, she
couldn't wait.
It's what some would term vomit fraud, but it was proper vomit. I mean, it was actually not. Yeah,
without the fraud.
It was legitimate.
Yes,
and we were charged that. So I'm aware of this.
Are
Yeah,
you
it
thinking
happens.
personally? Are you thinking maybe now that you've heard about the vomit fraud, maybe you've thrown up more than you like that you've been charged for throwing up more than you think you did?
I won't admit to anything myself because I actually that's not been the case, but I have witnessed this.
Oh, okay, you've witnessed it.
What I have seen is drivers that you plug in your address, they drive by you, and keep going.
Oh,
and you're like, wait a minute, like, and you call the guy, hey, you drove past me, come back, and they just keep going. And then, of course, 5 minutes passes by, and then you're just charged a fee. And I think that guys just do that. They just drive around, let people ping them, and they never ping them up. So, it's a public service announcement. Try to call Lyft or Uber customer service sometime.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
No, they don't care.
It doesn't exist.
No.
So, it's us versus them, I think.
I assume that their customer service is handled like Airbnb, where they rent people to come in.
There's no number. It's just the people versus them. Like we've got to fight. This is a street battle, folks. We've got to really take this seriously.
Well, this is the piece we didn't think about when we decided taxis sucked, right?
Yeah,
is that we were
right.
We're like, this is awesome. It's cheaper. It's no big deal. And then we're like, wait a minute. Why isn't somebody governing? Oh, there was still
a foul-mouthed, foul-mooded, terrible person at the other end of the line that you could, in theory, call down at the taxi dispatch station who would cuss you out to your face. Now you just talk into the void. So, we're reaping our own whirlwind.
Yeah, we did it. So is it news?
I don't think it's news.
You're not into the publication.
No. I think we kill the story.
You talked a lot about not news. I'm just saying.
You guys are
interested.
You were the first people I've told my stories to, and I haven't even considered that news. So it's been a year. It's been a year since this happened, and I'm just telling you. So I'm thinking if that's true for me, it's got to be true for other people as well.
Maybe it's because you felt like you'd be alone.
Maybe
so. Now you found a support group of other people.
Maybe so.
All right, Adam, what do you have?
Well, we put it on a blog. How about we put it on a blog on a weird, website, but it's not mainstream news.
I found it on a weird website. That's not going to be any better.
Right. That's right.
All right, so eagle-eared viewers might remember a couple weeks back now when we talked about an anti-marijuana legislator sending fake threats against herself.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And we also pointed out how this was all obviously BS, since marijuana doesn't make you go out and commit crimes so much as it makes you just endlessly rewatch regular show. Right?
Yes.
Right.
But it turns out there might be something to the whole marijuana makes you commit crime after all, because that's the only reason I can think of for hungry thief wanted after nearly $100,000 worth of ramen noodles stolen.
What?
Wait,
Yep.
How do you carry that?
They know about
He
this?
stole an entire tractor trailer.
Well, that's the lead. He stole a tractor trailer. You make it sound like he just carted around like 18 tons of ramen.
It seems like there's a bit of trouble with the narrative here. It wasn't a guy smoked some weed and stole a truck of ramen. I'm assuming there's more to it than that. That wasn't going on.
So it was a pretty short article, but so a guy transporting the trailer pulls up to I think it was like a rest stop or something like that, and the trailer was secured. He went in, got his meal, took his break, came back out.
What was his meal?
No tractor trailer.
How many?
It was ramen.
Was it? Was it?
It was 2 packages of ramen.
Okay, just checking to see.
No, it was. No, I have it here. It was a Chevron store, 53-foot trailer parked outside the Chevron store. When he came back out, just tractor trailer was gone. His truck was still there, but the trailer was gone.
So I'm thinking that this is news, and the only reason I'm saying this is because
college students.
Well, you might remember a year or so ago there were some thieves that broke into the Canadian maple syrup strategic reserves.
That's right. Yeah, I heard about that.
And that was news. That was a big deal, and it was like, I think it was the equivalent of going to, for Canadians, it was like the equivalent of going to Fort Knox and taking the gold. Like, we took the thing that they loved the most.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know where this ramen theft
we stole their
happened,
Stanley Cup as well. So we got both things.
But I think depending on where this took place, I think this could be like a top news story. Absolutely.
The thing that they're not talking about, the most difficult part about this heist is now he has to also hijack a tanker truck of boiling water.
Yeah, that's nice. That's going to be hard to come
Yeah.
by. Yeah.
So it's the only way he can eat it all.
Actually, no, he's going to need 4 because don't you need like 4 cups of water to 1 cup of ramen,
know.
something like that?
This truck of ramen is going to turn into, many swimming pools full of ramen, I'm thinking.
Well, next week we're going to end up having a story that says like 1,400 college students died of not being able to eat, right? Because of a shortage in ramen.
Yes.
Yeah, they starved to death. All right, so that made it in, you say?
I think it goes.
All right,
just
fair
because
enough.
of the
Woo!
maple syrup thing. I'm going just because of maple syrup.
Already in the lead.
Nice. All right. Frustrated by a barking dog, a Slovakian woman decided to drown out the incessant yapping by playing a 4-minute aria from the opera La Travadia by Giuseppe Verdi, featuring the world-famous tenor Placido Domingo at full volume. Well, actually kind of a lovely way if you've got a yapping dog. Like,
Yeah, sure.
you just get opera. Like, that's great. Although this occurred 16 years ago, that woman was arrested this week for harassment and malicious persecution.
Wait,
Wow.
she did the La Traviata
Yeah,
drowning out the dog 16 years ago.
exactly.
And there was no statute of limitations on that.
So she was arrested this week. Why, you ask? I'm glad.
I am asking.
I'm
Yes.
glad you asked that. Simple. She hadn't stopped doing it.
Oh, this has been going on.
For 16 years, from morning until night, she would blast the exact same 4-minute aria over and over and over again. Her neighbor was
Sounds
quoted,
almost like my sister when she was a teenager.
yes. Her neighbor was quoted as saying, "I love Placido Domingo, but not like this."
Yes.
Yeah, 16 years. The question I have is, what, 10 wasn't enough? Like,
when did you feel? Yeah. And did no one say anything after 3 years, let's say?
No, people yelled at her. She just couldn't hear it because there was Placido Domingo blaring. I assume that's the case, but yeah, I don't understand how 16 years went by. Like, I would think after year 1, you're like, all right, this is the anniversary. Fuck this. Like, we have to do something about this. Is there not a noise ordinance? I mean, for God's sakes. I'm surprised that, like, after year 3, one of her other neighbors didn't get arrested for murdering her.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Right.
Someone should have, there should have been a more violent crime.
Yeah, like,
Quicker.
oh, why didn't play today? I don't know. What's all the blood? I'm pig. Like,
Well, though, in their defense, no one actually ever really speaks whatever language the opera's in, so it might have taken them this long to realize it wasn't the same song still going.
Yeah.
you think that they only recently were like, holy shit,
Wait a
that's the
minute.
same one.
Wait a minute.
I've heard this part before. Wait a second.
All right. Yeah, so is it news?
So I'm a little bit biased, I have to say, because
Good. That's what we like.
I must confess,
Yeah.
something that you probably don't know, which is that I speak Slovak.
What?
Thanks to some family connections.
Nice.
And I happen to know
That lady.
yeah, I've known ladies like that. And I happen to know this is an amazing thing. You can try this on your local NPR station. Like next time you have a, hankering for classical music in DC, it's 90.9. If you want to do that,
Sure.
turn it on.
Yeah.
Listen to it. And every third song that you hear,
Yeah.
a very calm, soft voice
Yes.
will come on and say, that was the Slovak Symphony Orchestra playing La Traviata, or it was the Prague Symphony Orchestra playing.
Yeah.
Because they're mad for classical music. I don't know.
Right.
And they have this very odd sense of humor that's sort of both incredibly highbrow from the sort of high culture thing and also incredibly lowbrow from the I'm going to turn this on and annoy your dog. And it's a really weird part of the culture. So I'm going to say that this is not going to be a popular news story.
Right.
It's probably something I'd assign to a junior analyst.
Okay, sure.
But out of the softness of my heart and personal connections, I would say, yeah, that's news.
Excellent.
I'd go with that.
Okay, all tied up.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So, Matthew, if I were to ask you what you think America's hottest export is, what would you say?
Oh, well, I was going to say Melania, but I don't think she's American. I think we have to go back. Something else. Hottest export?
Hottest export.
Tanker truck of boiling water.
Hottest export. We produce our own. So I can sort of take this literally and say, well, we produce most of our own energy now. So you can't burn stuff and send it out.
This is kind of a warm up for the trivia section later in the show.
I'm assuming you've got an angle here that you're working.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I mean, America's economy is, fundamentally founded on three underlying principles.
Lava.
I was going to say the defense industry.
Oh, right. Yeah, no,
we send out a lot of bombs.
Yeah.
And that's hot.
Then lava.
I don't really know much about the lava industry. Second, I would say is Hollywood, like our films.
Okay.
That's a big industry.
That's true. Yeah.
And some of that can be quite hot.
Yep.
And then the third is it's probably a subset of the film industry, which would be the gentleman's special literature industry that we export, and that could quantify. And I have to say I don't know the data, so I have to plead ignorance on this. I'm sorry.
We call that a niche publishing, right?
Maybe so. Yes. Yes.
All right.
But I don't know. That's the best I can do.
You were close. Sperm.
What?
Yep, that's right.
Is that where it goes when I flush it?
Apparently,
is that in the country?
Yes, the stuff you use to ruin your socks since you were about 13 is apparently one of our hottest exports right now.
Export?
Yes.
Who's buying
U.S.
this?
and Denmark currently dominate the market because biggest supply in the market.
What?
Yep.
They got nothing else to do. It's cold up there.
Yep. And part of that is because America and Denmark are the only places left that will allow you to donate anonymously.
Is that right?
Oh, interesting.
Apparently, once they say, no, Keith, you got to put your name on the vial so that your kid in 18 years can come and look you up.
People have standards.
People
at
are
some
less
point.
likely to donate.
At some point, you have to be able to say, I'm sorry, we're just, we have to draw the line somewhere.
I did find out that if you do an anonymous donation, you actually have to go to a clinic. They got real mad about that. Why are you wearing a mask, sir? This is a Burger King. And you're like, I'm anonymously donating. That's
I see there's still formal places one has to go to anonymously donate. Yeah.
Yeah.
This done just
now I know that.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah. You'd think it would be in the pamphlet.
You learn trial and error. You learn that.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the end of the story as it was on the in the article. But when I was looking for stuff for the show, I just realized I had to find a way to talk about sperm in a very serious scientific manner.
Yeah. Well, you did.
You took
not just as a lowbrow joke.
You took a bold, brave chance at elevating the conversation, and I commend you for it.
Yep.
And also, I just found it hella interesting.
Is it news?
I think that has to be news.
Excellent. All right. We got another one in. You're back out ahead. All right, we're running over, so we're going to do just a lightning round. So we're going to give you headlines. If you have a question, go ahead, but then you let us know. So let's see. Prince Edward Island reporter tells alarmed readers paper had no obituaries because just no one died.
There's a story about this back in like the 60s. There's like the most boring day in history, and it was a day when like the BBC decided to report no news, and they just played classical music for 24 hours because they didn't do anything. So that's newsworthy only as a trivia thing, but it's by definition not newsworthy. So can I straddle the fence on this one, or do I have to make a call?
You're the boss. You make up these rules.
I say it's not news today, but it's news 30 years from now in a trivia contest.
Putting it in a file somewhere?
in a dive bar.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Alrighty. Florida woman fleeing police gets corralled by cows.
I mean, I want to know what's happening with that just right now. I want to hear more about that just from that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that sounds like.
I want to know more about this story. I mean, I therefore, ergo, it is news.
Sounds like most of my dates.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna kill and eat one of these.
So the quick version for you is they pulled over a car with stop sticks, and when it crashed, a couple people stayed in, and one woman took off across a cow field when all the cows just sort of freaked out and started following her and chasing her down, and that's what let the cops track her through the darkness. The helicopter guy looking on IR is like, you know what? Don't look for her. Just look for the herd of cows. They're sticking to her.
By the way, I just so you know, I'm good spending the rest of the hour just talking about this story.
This is all the rest of the show.
I'm good with this.
Just sign off. This is gonna be just Adam and Matthew and I. We're just gonna talk about cows surrounding women. All right.
I'm 3 for 3 now, Keith. You better try to catch up.
There's no way it's happening. All right. Firefighter in London tries rescuing a macaw stuck on a roof. Asked to fuck off by bird.
Literally, the bird said that?
Yeah. I don't know why the firefighter was surprised. He went up there knowing he was going to get the bird.
I mean, it's definitely a page 3 headline.
I got Adam.
It's absolutely a page 3 or 4 headline, but I think the follow-up story could be worthwhile to hear.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
excellent.
yeah.
So we got in last one, right?
All right, let's see if I can bat 1,000. Nope, those aren't mailboxes. Paris rolls out sidewalk urinals.
I actually did read this story this week, and
for the record, those could also just be mailboxes. I'm just saying.
What I enjoyed most about this story was watching the way the various news outlets tried to write about this in a serious, discerning, discreet, manner.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you saw any of the photojournalism that accompanied these stories.
I'm looking at some right now.
They were amusing. They were amusing. It solves a problem that has plagued mankind for centuries. And
the interesting thing is all of them had signs that said fountain. Culture.
I don't think it's news, but I think it's a strong advancement in human civilization. I put it right up there with banning indoor smoking. I think this is the big. This is the story of our generation. This is what our grandchildren will thank us for. I think.
You think this is our legacy?
I think this is the best we can do.
So it makes it in? Did you say?
It should make it into the scientific journals.
But not into your publication?
I don't think it makes it into the Daily Post, but I think it makes it into the, the research journals for future
into
study.
the National Archives.
Things that, for the academics, I think.
Yeah.
I think this goes to the academics.
All right, fair enough. I think we've ended up tied then, which is like the least satisfying ending to any of these segments. But nonetheless, how did you enjoy being editor-in-chief?
It was difficult. I didn't know this is what how we were gonna go with it. But yeah, it's I have a lot more respect for our fearless journalists out there now.
Well, I thought you did well. I thought you did the first time ever taking on that role. So
I'm viewing the industry with a whole different light now.
You do have one last task as editor-in-chief, though. We need a name for your publication. So what are you going to name this publication?
Oh man,
yeah,
because that's really putting me on
the spot. You did have time to think about this.
That's right. You did mention that to me ahead of time, but that was like.
May I offer the humble suggestion of Slim Pickens?
I'm trying to work in mailbox urinal somehow, but I'm not.
You just spell it with MALE.
The mail urinal.
It's mailbox.
The urinal box. I don't know. No. I mean, I'm gonna fail on this one, so. Yeah.
All right. So you're just not going to name it? This is the first time we'll have something unnamed.
This is going to be underground.
It's just going to be blank and just stories, and you got to find it yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going underground with this publication.
That's bold. That's a different strategy than most.
Yeah. People will seek this out.
That's
I'm segmenting the market.
Okay, that's what you're being disruptive.
That's what I'm going after. Anti-corporate.
So no name whatsoever, just a blank header that has no type on it.
I will splice this in next week. Maybe.
All right, fair enough. So in studio, we've got Slim from the Iris Bell. They're going to be playing Wednesday, August 23rd at Gypsy Sally's in Washington, D.C. We have a track from you today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And so it's called Henrietta. You want to tell us a little bit about this track?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So the Iris Bell is a 5-piece of people that switch around and play different instruments, and everybody's a part of the writing process as well. And so you can get quite a bit of different sounds depending on what you're listening to. But this track was written by one of the main female lead singers in our band, Laura Henson, and the song is dedicated to Henrietta Lacks.
Lax, the inventor of laxatives.
Yes, you know it well.
Yep.
She apparently had some sort of this was recently a movie that went Oprah Winfrey. We didn't know this when we wrote it. It came out.
She was the builder of the airport in L.A.
She was a woman who had a specific gene line that would perpetually grow and grow and grow and never die.
What?
And so it was this weird genomic anomaly where she had a stem cell line that would just continue to grow and grow and grow.
Like inside of her.
Yes.
Interesting.
And so the government sort of said, we need to find out about this. And so they sort of took it from her and sort of studied it on our own, and it still goes on today. And so the story is about...
is it that they harvested it when she passed away or something?
They did it without her knowledge and continue to stay without her knowledge. So there's a lot of controversy about the ethics of that, and was that the right thing to do or not, and sort of this controversy between the medical miracle that it was and taking something from someone that didn't have any knowledge about it. And so it's one of those ongoing stories about sort of race and politics and medicine that happens from time to time in the U.S. And Laura was particularly moved by this and wrote a song about it, and that's ultimately what it's about.
That's very cool.
Sort of an infinite line of life that goes on and on and on.
Well, we had some technical difficulties, so Adam's going to add this sample in post. I know that if I didn't say that, nobody would know, but then we would sit around in silence feeling really weird. So we're going to leave a little bit of space for this tune. I've heard some of this already, so we'll talk about it here in just a second.
Great.
So this is called Henrietta. It's from the album Ridgelines and Highways from the band The Iris Bell.
Henrietta, you're here for eternity. Well, I'm just passing through, and you never know me the way I've known you. To live in hearts we leave behind.
Typically there'd be music still underneath us playing. It's a lot harder to stay silent when there's no music.
It was almost like the what do I do with my hands moment of podcasting.
But you guys sent this stuff over to me. It was fantastic. It's kind of this combination of Appalachia kind of instruments and a bit of a modern twist to it. It still has that like roots kind of feel to it, that Americana kind of feel, but it also has a little bit of that like rock pop as well, depending on the song. It kind of swings back and forth. I noticed from tune to tune.
Yeah.
Is this song pretty like a good sample of what you guys do, or is this more more of an unusual song in your repertoire?
No, I think it's a pretty good sample. I mean, like you'll find a variety of what we do, but I mean, like a lot of. I think like everybody, I don't think any of us are defined by one genre of music. Like someone says, this is all I listen to. And for us, when we started the band, we were thinking we really would like to tap into this Americana genre. Most of us have roots in Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Virginia. And even though we might have played in other bands or had other influences, this was something we really wanted to try to write to. And so, I would say Henrietta is a pretty good example of what that is. And it is a song on the new EP that we have. And I have to, we'll beat our own drum about it. I think it's about right.
So if somebody likes this tune, there's probably some other tunes on this EP and prior albums that they'll also enjoy then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think one of the interesting things is that, as I said, Laura Henson wrote this song and sings on this song, and you'll hear another band member, Laura Schwartz, singing backup and harmony on this song. And if you listen to other tracks, you'll hear some that I've written and I sing on, and some that some of the other band members, Andrew Camber or Jarrett Creasy, who are singing on or playing other instruments on. And everyone kind of switches up and plays different instruments.
So it's a real collaboration.
It's very much a collaboration. Everyone's a writer. Everyone's a player. Yeah. I mean, I happen to play piano on Henrietta on this song. That's me you're hearing on piano, but I would sort of classify myself the third best piano player in the band. I sort of fill in where others drop out. So but I mean, like everyone kind of collaborates and throws in, and we generally all fortunately have a similar view of how we want things to sound and act.
So
It seems to work out.
Live, is there kind of a fire drill where everybody changes?
It's terrible. We were just emailing today about the set list, and the set list is essentially a battlefield.
Yeah.
Where everyone argues about what we should play when, and everyone's personal agenda is how few times do I have to switch instruments?
Nice.
And that's it. That's really what it boils down to. And everyone tries to pretend it's about the feel and the flow and all that, but that's not it. It's just like we're all lazy and we don't want to switch instruments too much.
Well, if you want to see them switch instruments live, go to Gypsy Sally's on Wednesday, August 23rd. That's down in Washington, D.C. Go check out this tune and others on Ridgelines and Highways. You can go to facebook.com/The Iris Bell to find out more. With that said, we're running late, so we're going to jump into what we like to call Please God Just Get One Right. And this is a quiz show. We're going to give you some quiz questions. Some
Greatest theme song ever.
Yeah, no, it's not. This particular topic was given to us by Luis from the Audio Tech Festival.
Yeah.
And so he had to do ones about Michael Jackson's trivia. By the way, if you didn't get a chance to check it out, the Audioteca Festival is up at facebook.com/Audioteca2, both I's, so it's II. By the time this comes out, it will have already happened. But if you want to get upset with him about what he handed down to you, you can go check him out Thursday, August 16th through Sunday, August 19th at Heaven and Hell down in Washington, D.C. It's a huge festival, tons of music. Definitely go check it out if you have the time.
Absolutely.
So are you interested what your topic is?
I suppose I have to be. Right?
Okay, the topic for you is celebrity scandals.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right.
Now keep in mind, if you get one right, it's the Super Bowl. You win.
How many People magazines should I have read?
All of them.
Prepare for this, because I might be behind.
Maybe Vanity Fair. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever it is.
All right.
But do keep in mind, if you don't get any wrong, or to get any right, that's okay.
Okay.
You do get to pass on that embarrassment and that pain and torture our next guest with a category.
Good.
So think that in mind of what you want your category to be as we're going through these.
Right.
So without further ado, I'm going to jump in so that we can get through these as quick as possible. Jerry Lee Lewis's marriages were fraught with controversy. You know Jerry Lee Lewis?
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
He had great balls of fire. I assume that's why all the marriages.
Someone said that, yeah.
Yes. First of all, there were 7 of them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, one for each dwarf. And second of all, 2 of his wives died under mysterious circumstances.
You're thinking of Henry VIII. This is different.
No, this is Jerry. This is Jerry Lee Lewis.
All right.
Lastly, his 3rd marriage took place before he was divorced from his second wife to a much younger first cousin once removed. How old was his third bride, Myra Gale Brown?
I may spoil your party on the very first one.
Why?
I mean, I only knew that he had one wife, so I only have to guess.
Myra Gale Brown?
Couldn't have told you her name.
Okay.
But I'm going to go out on a limb and say she was 13 when he married her.
She was 13!
Yes.
Nice! Hooray! Look at that! Oh, this is all gravy. You've already won.
Now I'm just coasting for the rest of the time.
Now you don't even have to be concerned. You can think of just about a category for the next one. Decide how difficult you want to make it on them. All right. Adam, what do you have?
All right. Before he became a famous movie star, this celebrity was caught and arrested in 1978 with 1.5 pounds of cocaine and sentenced to 28 months in federal prison. Oof. He avoided a life sentence by ratting out the other drug offenders. Who is this actor?
Yep.
28 pounds of cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Here's a hint. He was also a TV star. Movie and TV star.
Movie and TV star. I don't know. So I'll just guess Peter Falk, knowing full well that's not right.
Nope. The answer is Tim Allen.
What?
Yeah, from Home
Proving that
Improvement.
1.5 pounds of cocaine can probably take you to infinity and beyond.
To infinity and beyond!
Jeez.
Nice.
I didn't know that Tim Allen was a film actor. I'll have to review his canon.
You ever saw the Santa Claus?
Canon.
The Santa Claus.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a few
I'll have
of
to
them.
review the classics
Buzz
later this
Lightyear.
weekend.
There's not a lot of them. Before he got famous on daytime talk shows, what politician became infamous when he paid for sex with a hooker using a check that bounced?
Oh, what lack of class.
I know. Ugh.
It was a politician became famous.
Yeah, he was before he got famous on daytime talk shows.
Right.
What politician became infamous when he paid for sex with a hooker using a check that bounced?
This is gonna be Jerry Springer.
That's right.
The mayor of Cincinnati.
Exactly. Nice.
I'm not the one embarrassing myself with bad trivia questions this week.
Look, guys, I can go as lowbrow as you like. That's fine.
Alrighty. Jackie Coogan made national news when, upon turning 21, he sued his mother and stepfather after they refused to share the money he made as a child actor, most notably as the orphan in Charlie Chaplin's The Kid. He ended up getting very little money after he paid off all the legal fees, which helped pass the California Child Actors Bill. Thankfully, he was able to recover financially when he landed what famous role?
The kid in Charlie Chaplin's, the orphan in Charlie Chaplin's The Kid ended up being what famous role?
Again, I don't know. I have this. I have this desire to say the kid from Willy Wonka, but that's probably not right. I don't know. It's just because you said Charlie and child
this is
actor.
When he was an adult. He came back as an adult.
Came back as an adult. He was a child actor. How did that work out? I don't know. I have to. You've stumped me.
The answer we were looking for is Uncle Fester on the Addams Family TV show.
Yeah, little known.
Little known indeed.
All
actually.
Right. The world may never know if Justin Timberlake exposing Janet Jackson's breast during the halftime show for the Super Bowl was intentional. In years since 2004, we have heard stories in both directions. What's the number of the Super Bowl where the musician's mammary was molested?
I mean, the thing is you probably have musicians on here who are just musicians and they don't like football or sports. I actually do.
Okay, but do you know?
I do not.
You don't know when the wardrobe malfunction occurred.
I think we're somewhere around like 50 or 51 or 52. So we've got to go back to like 44. I'm guessing. That's 44. That's my answer.
No, 38.
Oh.
Yep, 38. That's how old we are.
It's been a long time.
It has been. All right. Last but not least.
We all remember where we were at that moment.
Yep. Finally, Charlie Chaplin was the center of a scandal when he married his fourth wife, Una O'Neill, daughter of famous playwright Eugene O'Neill. Mm-hmm. Not only because she was only 17 at the time while he was in his mid-60s, but because she had already been dating someone at the time. Who was the man she was dating when she met Chaplin?
So the thing I will tell you is that if one is a fan of crossword puzzles, you have to know this answer because Una is just one of those things that I'm sure that people that put these puzzles together, like, I've got two O's, what can I possibly do?
Oh, right. What the hell?
So I knew her name, although I couldn't tell you anything else about her. But I'm going to say somehow F. Scott Fitzgerald was involved.
Not a bad guess.
Very close guess, actually. It was J.D. Salinger, future author of Catcher in the Rye.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Not bad.
I'll go out respectively then.
Yeah, you still got two right, and that's fantastic. So
I'll take
that's double the please God just get one right.
I'll take it.
So while you think of a category, I'm gonna grab our prize sack.
Okay.
You can put your hand in my sack and grab your prize. So you go ahead and think. Adam, you entertain the folks. I'm just gonna go over here.
You're the one who entertains people. I just occasionally put in little jokes.
It's no big deal. Just two grown men sharing a sack. All right, it's not. Nothing is actually like wrapped, so you have to close your eyes.
All right,
when you put your hand in my sack.
This isn't weird, right?
Yeah, no, it's not weird. Totally normal.
All right.
And then just grab whatever you want from there.
I've got this.
Yes. And then what did you get? What's your prize?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
It says that they're swizzle sticks, which I think are things that one puts in cocktails.
Yeah, I think they're like mixed things.
They're pink and they have elephants on the top.
Elephants? Okay, so elephant swizzle sticks.
I don't know that I would drink a cocktail that had this, but there's probably some lovely ladies that might come to our show that would love this. I'm going to make some cosmopolitans when I get home tonight and put these in there.
So what you're saying is you don't really want to talk about the pink elephant in the drink?
It's the pink elephant in the room. I think we don't talk about it. It is a pink elephant drink stick. I'm going to have to think about all the sorority girls that I might invite over to mix them Cosmos.
Well, you made good on all of this, right? So you probably don't need to go to the Audio-Teca Festival on Thursday, August 16th through the 19th and beat up Luis for making you suffer. But you may want to shake his hand and thank him for something that you actually did pretty well
he
on.
got me these swizzle sticks.
Maybe you should share them with him.
I will split them.
And so, but the real question is, what are you going to pass on to our next guest?
So I was thinking about this, and this is a failed idea that I've been trying to push with the band for one of our shows.
Sure.
Is to play a tribute show of all the people that have died in the last year or two, which would include Prince.
Okay. So musicians,
Tom Petty,
that have died,
Dolores O'Riordan of the Cranberries,
in the last 2 years.
Dead musicians of the last 5 years is what I
last
is what
5
I
years.
Let's say 5. I mean, you could probably get by with the last 2.
All right. So last 5 years. All right.
Yeah, 2016 alone was
a pretty bad
ruinous.
year.
Yeah.
That's what I'd go with.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Then we will.
The answer, by the way, to every question is fentanyl, but that's okay.
That's unfortunately really accurate. All right. So we have that. Excellent. So let's move on so that we don't run out of time and find out a little bit more about you during Near and Far. And so that's what it's about. I understand. You understand. So we're going to have 2 stories, one that's like closer to home and one that's further away. So we talked a little bit about this before, and you said for Near, you have something about a concert.
Right? Yeah. So we have a really nice song off of our first album called All I've Got to Lose, which is available in fine stores everywhere.
Excellent.
That has a mandolin part in it, and our very talented bass player Jarrett changes over and plays that mandolin part. And we had a show where, I don't know how this happened, but there's this beautiful moment right in the middle where this sort of swell happens and this mandolin comes in.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We were playing it at like this sort of really quiet, sort of festival where everyone's sort of chill and definitely the music, and we mistuned it. I didn't mistune it.
Oh no!
So right at the point where it's supposed to come in, it just is like, and we're all looking at each other. We don't know what to do because we can't just stop
and tune it, right? Yeah.
But there it is.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Yeah. So to this day, we play that. If you see us play, you'll watch all of us cringe a bit right at that moment because we're just not quite sure that it's going to come out all right. Good.
There's actually a pretty famous video, very similar. If you just YouTube Van Halen live in Greensboro.
Oh, really? Okay.
And they open up and jump. It's famous amongst audio engineers because they play back the intro synths like a backing track.
Yeah.
But they play it at the wrong sample rate. So it's not quite a half step sharp. So it sounds great right up until the band comes in, and it just sounds awful. Everything's out
we
of
are
tune.
scarred for life by that song, and it's one of our favorites, and we love to play it, but we're always terrified when we do.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think we've all had those kinds of moments.
Yeah.
Something's happening, and it's just out of your control now. So for Far, though, I want to make sure we hit this. We got about a minute left or so. But you said that there's been a loss abroad that was really important. So I want to kind of give you the last minute here to talk about that. So tell us what's going on.
Yeah. So if you're fans of music in DC, you might know a guy named Jay Austen who was a fan of the tiny house movement, if you're familiar with that, and was also someone who really supported the arts and curated and cultivated a lot of sort of mini music festivals around the city. And he's pretty important, I think, for all of the artists in the city. And he was a big fan of ours, and we were a big fan of his and what he did. And unfortunately, he and his girlfriend were killed last week.
What?
Yeah, in Tajikistan. They were on a bike tour around the world. They had taken off a year from work to bike around Africa and Europe and Central Asia. And they were killed in an accident, terrorism accident, actually, in Tajikistan. And so it's been something you might have seen in the news if you see something about DC cyclists or what. You don't necessarily know they're sort of portrayed as cyclists, which they certainly were, but they were also pretty important to the arts community in DC. So it's something that, not to be terribly grim, but it's pretty important to us.
Yeah, that's very
to
sad.
recognize that.
And it's horrifying to find out how little terrorists like little tiny houses.
Yes.
That's, I assume, the reason.
We must
behind
resist.
it. So, well, that's sad. Look that up. Austin, what was it?
Jay Austin. Yeah.
Jay Austin, go
Okay.
check that out. There's probably a foundation in his name being created. You can help local music with that. So don't forget, Wednesday, August 23rd, the Iris Bell at Gypsy Sally's in Washington, D.C. Go check them out at facebook.com/thereisbell. Please like our posts, follow, retweet us, share the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We cannot do this without you. Don't forget to review us on Facebook, iTunes, and Google Play. Thanks to my summer co-host, Engineer Adam, to Kevin Evinger, to McNally22, to Justin Rogers, Figmental Records, Figmental Studios, and Alchemical Records for all their contributions. Most of all, thanks to the Iris Bell for wasting a perfectly good hour with us. This has been another wasted hour, and if you just realized that, don't blame us. We warned you.
Henrietta, you're a part of me, and I'm not a part of you, and I don't know what you want me to do. Henrietta, you're here for eternity. Well, I'm just passing through, and you never know me the way I've known you. To live in hearts we leave behind is not to die. So I ask you, are you still alive? Is immortality the only thing to thrive? I ask myself this on the by and by, the by and by. Sorry, none of this was ever your plan. Henrietta, you have a coded speech. From everything I've heard, it's how you speak to me without saying a word. From yourselves about this lineage, born of a crime. Complexity we can't quite define. And there is something wrong with your storyline. I think about this from time to time, time to